Howdy ho neighbors, this is Commander CheapSkate and this is battle report number 3 of the Tercio campaigns. In this battle you have the Tercio campaigns of Commander CheapSkate of the Empire, that's me, versus Fresh Prince Bel-Air of the High Elves, who happens to be one of my buddies, and so I'm looking forward to this one because I was always wanted to see how this particular tactic worked against High Elves. Just a really quick introduction about what this battle is all about. This series of battle reports will be based on I'm calling the Tercio campaigns. Now the reason why it's called a Tercio campaign is because I'm trying to experiment within my Empire army, trying to build what's called a Tercio tactic. The Tercio tactic was a specific type of formation used by Europeans during the 15th and 16th century. These are things like the time period around the 30 Years' War, the War of Spanish Succession, things like that. During this time period, Europeans were just starting to start using firearms, as well as cavalry and swordsmen, things like that. So it very much matches the time period that the Empire is based off of in Warhammer. And I wanted to see if I could actually build an army that used nothing but real simple troop choices, primarily infantry, without any magic items, without special characters, without magic, and see how they stack up against most of my opponents. But back to the Spanish Tercio. The Spanish Tercio is the Spanish that invented this tactic. Originally, it works around a block of pikemen. So you have a large block of pikemen that represents the center of the formation, and they are supported on either flank by handgunners, as well as skirmisher type units, so either swordsmen or archers or crossbowmen. They also get supported with fast cavalry, which are armored pistols, sometimes artillery, and it's really the first use of combined armed forces within military forces during this campaign. So the idea is I wanted to try to make my own version of the Tercio and see how it stacks up against the High Elves. So sit back, relax, and let's see what happens with gunpowder and steel and just pure grunt effort faces against magical High Elves and see how it works out.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Valor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then to hell with you.
Alright, so let's go ahead and start talking about the armies I'll be playing today. We'll start with the Empire army. This is my Imperial Tercio build. Once again, try to use that tactic in my version of it. The name of the unit is called the Eisenkreuzen Freibrigade, which in German basically means the Iron Cross Free Brigade, is basically means in German. It's a 3,000 point build. It's my Blades, Bullets, and Balls Brigade, because that's all they have. Just blades, bullets, and just gunpowder. That's all they're going with. There's no magic, no special characters. So let's talk about my Lord and Hero choices. So my Lord is a General of the Empire. His name is Oberst Gottfried the Eisenkreuz, which basically means Colonel Godfrey the Iron Cross. He's got full plate armor, a shield, as well as a great weapon. Next comes my Captain of the Empire. His name is Hauptmann Hans Jäger, which is German for Captain Hans Jäger. That's his name. He is my BSB with full plate armor, shield, as well as a great weapon. My core choices is one massively huge unit of 80 halberdiers, the Eisenblut, which means in German iron-blooded. It's got a sergeant, a standard bearer, as well as a musician, and they are supported by 4 units of 20 handgunners. The 1st Fusiliers, the 2nd Fusiliers, the 3rd Fusiliers, and the 4th Fusiliers. So these are 4 20-man handgunner units with 2 detachments of 5 archers per detachment. So you're looking at 10 archers with 20 handgunners, and there's 4 of these units, so it's a big chunk of troops. As well as 10 crossbowmen, which is the 1st Ambrustiers, which is just the fancified word for crossbowmen during that time period. My special choices consist of 2 units of 10 Pistoliers, the 1st Dragoner and the 2nd Dragoner. And the reason why they're called Dragoners is because the term Dragoon is the German term for that, and Dragoon are just nothing more than mounted horsemen with firearms. My other special choices consist of 4 great cannons, so oof, we're going to bring the rain, and 1 mortar. And then finally my rare choice are 2 Hellblaster volley guns for a grand spanking total of 2,992 points. And now it's time to talk about my opponent's army list. Fresh Prince Bel-Air and his host of Hoth? Anyways, that's the name of the place that they're coming from in the with the High Elves, and it's a 3,000 point army build as well. So let's talk about their lords and heroes. For their lords, you basically have two choices on that one, and that is Tyrion and Teclis. So my friend is bringing out both those special characters to bring to arms, which is kind of cool because Tyrion's is really good at fighting and a leader, and Teclis is just a beast at magic. So, and I have no wizards in my army, so it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how the magic stacks up on this one. His core choices consist of of 12 archers, the Glade Militia. They have a Hawkeye, Standard Bearer, and a Musician. Another 12 archers, the Garden Guards. Garden Guards, that's kind of weird sounding. Anyways, the Garden Guards, and they have a Hawkeye, Standard Bearer, as well as a Musician as well. Another core choice is 10 Silverhelm Knights, the Star Runners. They have a High Helm, a Standard Bearer, a Musician, and they also are equipped with shields. Then comes the Illyrian Rangers, which are 5 Illyrian Reavers armed with bows, and another 5 Illyrian Reavers, the Everqueen's Rangers, armed with bows as well. And that's for 95 points. His special choices, these are the ones I'm really afraid of. He has 15 White Lions of Trace called Corhill's Retinue. They have a Guardian, a Standard Bearer, and a Musician. He also has a Lion Chariot of Trace called the Virtues of Honor. And then he has 20 Sword Masters of Hoeth, I believe is how you pronounce that. And they're called the Sad Flutes with a Blade Lord, a Standard Bearer, as well as a Musician. And 24 Phoenix Guards, Caradrion's Retinue? I don't know how to pronounce these high elf words, but I'm assuming that's how it's said. Caradrion's Retinue. It's 24 Phoenix Guards with a Keep of the Flame, a Standard Bearer, as well as a Musician, and then finally a Tyrannok Chariot, the Ides of Fall. Or that rounds up his special choices. And his rare choices are 4 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers called the Reigns of Lothern. So that comes out to a grand total of 2,985 points. So let's talk about how this battle is going to go. Alright, so let's go and talk about deployment. Let's start with the right flank here. As you can see on my right flank, I have 2 units of handgunners with their 2 detachments of 5 archers. I'll put on the flanks of those handgunners to kind of protect their flanks from attacks, as well as allowing my handgunners options to fire forward without getting in their forward arc. The purpose of those archers is to basically rush ahead of the handgunners in case if anybody tries to close in with them. And then I also have 2 of my cannons on the farthest right-hand side of my formation. And as you can see right across from me, I have my opponent. He has set up, Fresh Prince Bel-Air has set up his cavalry across from me. He's got his 2 chariots, his Lion Chariot and his normal chariot. He's got his Silver Helms, as well as Illyrian Reavers located on that side. So that's how deployment looks on that right flank. In the center, my Tercio's strength is right in the center, and that's where the strong center is located at. I got my 80 halberdiers with my 10 crossbowmen stationed in front of them to act as a chaff to take out any opponents that might be marching in towards my main block of halberdiers. And then behind them you have my motor as well. And on either side of the flanks, you got my 2 Hellblaster volley guns. So anything that comes within 24 inches is going to get, the rain when they come up close to me. And you could also see a little bit ahead of my Tercio, you could see my 2 10-man units of Pistoliers. And their jobs is to veer off to the right as well as to the left to attack my opponent's flanks as they march towards me on the flanks. On the left-hand side here, on my left flank, once again you see my other 2 units of 20 handgunners rather, with their 2 5-man attachments of archers. Same kind of game plan with those archers with my handgunners. The idea is that they act as blockers and redirectors to keep my opponent away from my handgunners, as well as my 2 cannons. And as you see right across from me on that one, they're there to intercept the high elf infantry. My opponent has basically gone with a denied center type layout for his deployment. I have a sneaky suspicion he's going to send his infantry to my left flank, his cavalry to my right flank, and then his 4 bolt throwers are leveled right across from me in my center, taking aim at whatever is there, which is kind of rough because I didn't account for that when I put my artillery across from the center from his. My Hellblasters have no way of reaching those bolt throwers, and his bolt throwers can reach out and touch me from way back there across the battlefield. So that one is going to be kind of interesting. So that is how deployment works. Alright, so that brings us to the top of turn 1. High Elves go first in this battle, so Fresh Prince Bel-Air gets all the first pick, whatever he wants to do, and I basically have to react from him. So before we even start the turn officially, though, we start with our vanguards. He has 2 fast cavalry units, his Illyrian Reavers, so he moves those guys up and disperses them, heading straight towards my handgunners on my right-hand side. And then I move my vanguard units. My pistoliers move to the center and get ready to flank the high elves on both the right and left hand side as their forces come marching forward. Which brings us to High Elf movement phase. So, in this picture, the High Elf movement, the cavalry all marches forward right straight to my right flank. You can see how the Illyrian Reavers have already started marching out towards my cannons. You can see how my opponent's chariots are moving towards my handgunners, and that big unit of Silverhelms are also charging right towards my other handgunner unit, and they're going to try to bring the pain here in a second. And this other picture here, you can see the other side on my left-hand flank. You can see the white lines, the sword masters, as well as the Phoenix Guards moving forward as fast as they can with their march speed of 10 inches, while his archers remain in the back, which I'm assuming the reason why he's doing that is to provide support fire. I'm not really sure. Maybe he's trying to intercept my pistoliers. I'm not really sure what's up with that movement. So we'll see how it goes from there. And from that point, that brings us to the High Elf Magic phase.
I gotta sing the Doom song now! Doom, 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 doom.
Yeah, that is the Doom song. And the reason why is because the High Elf Magic phase just totally brings destruction and chaos in all of its forms. So you can see in this first picture, Teclis casts the spell Walk Between Worlds on the Swordmaster's unit. So they become ethereal, so that means whatever terrain's in their way, they can walk right to it. And because of that, they could also move up another 10 inches forward. And so in this picture, you can see the Swordmaster's moving up with their ethereal bonus. And in this picture, because Teclis successfully cast his spell of Walk Between Worlds, the lore attribute allows a bonus to ward saves to whatever unit the mage is to the mage, as well as the units that he's in. And since these guys are Phoenix Guard, they automatically come up with a 4-up ward save. So now their 4-up ward save has just been brought up to a 3-up ward save. So now I have to go through a 3-up ward save, as well as heavy armor and shields. And right off the bat, I can tell that that unit is going to be a massive pain. I just can tell right off the bat. And if it wasn't bad enough, Teclis then goes and casts the Tempest on one of my cannons and destroys not only the cannon, but the entire crew as well. The Tempest is like this wind blast spell with a large template. It's a low strength attack, but you know, humans are only toughness of 3, so that just destroys my entire tank. And that has some dire consequences for my other units. Which brings us to this picture. Because the cannon got utterly destroyed, any unit within 12 inches has to take a panic test. The second cannon passes its test just fine, but my handgunners and their archers do not. And as you can see here, the handgunners and their archers flee 8 inches away from the main line, which is going to severely weaken my my left flank because, you know, half of my units are basically gone. And if that wasn't enough, Teclis decides he's going to cast Fiery Convocation on the second handgunner unit with the archers that remains, and that spell goes off. And just look at the amount of dice that he gets to roll to kill my handgunners. Basically, every single model in that unit takes a strength 4 hit, and he gets 17 dice, so he decides to roll all of them. And as you can see in this picture, he kills all of my handgunners except for the last 3. And that poor unit of handgunners take a panic test, and they also flee as well. So my handgunners and their archers flee 10 inches away from the battlefield. And you can just tell that this is just all kinds of bad. And just because it's Teclis and his magic never runs out, Teclis also casts his Soul Quench on my pistoliers. And the Soul Quench kills 5 of them. So right off the bat, half of my guys are basically gone. So there's that. And if you could look at this picture, this is the state of my left flank. 200 of my handgunners are on the run with their archers, so they're gone. 1 cannon is destroyed. I only have 1 cannon remaining. So my left flank has been effectively turned. And that also brings us now to the High Elf's shooting phase.
This is my boomstick!
All 4 of his Fresh Prince Bel-Air's bolt throwers decide to go multi-shot on my right volley gun, and they absolutely destroy it, causing all the units nearby to check for panic. Luckily, all my units in that area passed due to my general's inspiring presence rule, as well as battle center rerolls, as well as hold the line rules. So that is the only reason why those units haven't fled like my handgunners on the other side of the world. And in this picture, the High Elves also shoot again. The Tyrannok Chariot and both units of Reavers open up on my cannon and destroy that one cannon. Luckily, all my units pass their leadership checks, so there's no more running away for those guys.
A minor setback, girl. We'll be home in no time. I'll just wait until the skin grows back on my eyeballs.
So this is the picture at the bottom of High Elf turn number 1. And as you can see there on the left flank, my left flank is quickly collapsing, and there is nothing really stopping those infantry guys from marching across the battlefield and right towards my men. This picture shows the center line of my troops, so still looking pretty strong. I still got one volley gun, I still got my crossbowmen, I also have my motor as well as my halberdiers, so that's looking kind of good, I think. And this is the picture of my right flank, which is still going kind of strong. I mean, granted, one of my cannons are gone, but that's okay, though. You know, I got another one, so... And I still got my handgunner units. They're still holding on strong there as well, so this battle might be doing okay. You know, I'm taking a lot more losses than I like, a lot more of my men fleeing, but, you know, I think should be okay. I should be just fine. Which brings us to my turn. So Empire turn number 1, we start with the movement phase. So you can see in this picture, my Pistoliers start moving towards the Silverhelm's flank there on the side. So I'm moving those guys out to take care of those people, and my archers and skirmishers are now moving out from my handgunner units to intercept any charging units that might be coming towards them. And, you know, I'll probably try to get a couple pot shots of, you know, longbows off on those guys and see if we can take care of those cavalrymen before they get in close contact with my handgunners. And this picture, I take my halberdiers and I tilt them slightly to the left to meet any charges from the High Elves on my left flank, and my Pistoliers decide to charge right into the archers there, right there in the center.
Retreat! Retreat! Let's get the hell out of here!
So my 20-man unit of handgunners on the left-hand side, which didn't take a single loss, by the way, they only just witnessed the destruction of a cannon and its crew, they fail their panic check, they fail to rally, and they flee right off the table edge. And to make matters worse, the 3-man unit of handgunners who did take a lot of damage from fire complication and their archers also fail their rally check, and they also flee off the edge of the table. And as you see in this picture, my entire left flank is now open. Aside from that one cannon that's just standing by itself, all the other units have fled, and they have not even inflicted a single wound upon the opponents yet. So right off the bat, like a third of my forces are gone, and my enemy is now smiling at me. Belair is smiling at me because now he knows he has a lot of victory points. So this is just going great. Just great. And that brings us to the magic phase, but since this is a man's army, which is bullets, blades, and gunpowder, I don't believe in magic, so there is no magic phase, which brings us straight to one of my favorite phases, which is the shooting phase.
This is my boomstick!
And this is where my cannon basically comes to its own on the right-hand flank. It opens up with grape shot on the Reavers, and they roll the artillery dice, and they get 10 hits. And all 10 of those hits also wound. So, all units after that Illyrian Lever unit gets destroyed, all units within 12 inches of it test for panic, but they all pass because they're also within their general's inspiring presence rule. Tyrion has a leadership value of 10, so all of those units on that flank get his leadership, and because of that they all pass their panic test. So no, their men flee. My men flee like cowards after just watching one group of guys get killed, but you know, that's Empire for you. And finally, both units of my handgunners, all archer units, and my Pistolier unit open up on the Silverhelms and on Tyrion. They kill all the Silverhelms, but only inflict one wound on Tyrion. You gotta look at the impossibility of that. That's 20 archers, that's 40 handgunners, and that's also like 10 Pistoliers opening up on this one unit. And Tyrion is still alive with only one wound. And the reason why is because of his 1-up armor save and his freaking 4 ward saves. So curse his armor, curse his ward save, and I'm just gonna have to shoot this guy again, I guess, just to take that dude out.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
Which brings us to the combat phase for the Empire Army. And in this picture, my Pistoliers attack, but they botch their rolls horrifically. I mean, they just absolutely failed. With all the attacks these guys get because they're carrying brace of pistols, you'd think they hit something, but they don't kill anybody at all. They just botch those rolls bad, and so they don't kill a single person on the High Elf side. The High Elves, on the other hand, kill 3 of my Pistoliers. And the Pistoliers, of course, fail their break check.
Retreat! Retreat! Get the hell out of here!
I'm starting to realize now that I'm playing that track way too often. My units are breaking and fleeing like it's nobody's business. So as you can see in this picture, my Pistoliers are fleeing, but the High Elves pass their leadership test and they don't pursue because they're High Elves, and High Elves are extremely disciplined. And that brings us to the top of turn 2. So these are the pictures at the top of High Elf turn number 2. As you can see in this picture, my left flank is completely open. There's nothing I can do to stop the High Elf advance coming out at me from that direction. And in this picture, the center and right flanks are still holding strong, and I could probably still make it and still defeat my enemies and maybe turn this around. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
And that brings us to the High Elf move phase, and in this picture, Tyrion, the Tyrannok Chariot, and the Reavers charge on my right flank. And the Lion Chariot kind of scoots around the flank to get a flank charge on the cannon there in that picture. And in this one, the High Elf Archers, Phoenix Guards, Swordmasters, and White Lions continue their advance forward, which brings us to...
Arms like noodles! It's my turn.
Back to the dreaded High Elf magic phase. So in this picture, Teclis does some amazing stuff. First of all, Teclis casts Apotheosis on the Blade Master of that Swordmaster's unit. So that guy didn't sustain any wounds, but the reason why Fresh Prince Bel-Air did it is so that way the Blade Master causes fear. And then once again, he casts Walk Between Worlds on that same unit and moves the Sword Masters to charge into my Halberdiers. And to make matters worse, they're ethereal, so I can't hurt them, but they can hurt me. So I don't have any magical weapons or magic of any sort in my army, so that ethereal unit of 20 Swordmasters can dish out all the delicious damage that a Swordmaster unit can throw out, and I cannot retaliate in any way whatsoever. Oh, and he also gets like a plus up to his ward save for the Phoenix Guard again, which kind of sucks. And in this picture, Teclis casts this Soul Quench on my last remaining cannon on my left-hand side and sends it straight to the hot place and just blows it up to smithereens.
This is my boomstick!
So that brings us back to the High Elf shooting phase. And in this picture, Fresh Prince Bel-Air is one of his bolt throwers multi-shots my volley gun, my last remaining volley gun, and destroys it, causing my units to test for panic. But luckily for me, all my units pass. And in this shot, the other 3 bolt throwers decide to multi-shot my crossbowmen and utterly destroys all 10 of those crossbowmen. They just wipe them off the face of the earth. Luckily for me, both my Halberdiers and my motor pass their panic checks. This should be pretty easy for my Halberdiers because they're engaged in combat. But that motor team, though, they're holding on pretty strong, which is kind of nice.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
Which takes us to this wonderful picture at the beginning of the High Elf combat phase. And as you can see in this picture, the Swordmasters make 17 hits against my Halberdier unit. And all told, curse that always strike first rules and the number of attacks that these guys get. I mean, you get 3 attacks from the Blade Master, 2 attacks from each of the Swordmen in the front ranks, plus supporting attacks from the second rank, and with their special rules where they get to fight an extra rank, you get like another attack on top of that. And plus, because they have always strike first, if their initiative is higher than mine, then they get to reroll misses. So in this picture, they get 17 hits. And in this picture, all 17 hits wound because of their +2 strength for great weapons. So that's just great. And I lose 17 troops, and I should flee because I don't redirect or give back any damage at all. So it's 0 wounds against their 17 wounds. Luckily, I have Steadfast. I get to reroll leaderships due to my BSB, and I also have Hold the Line, and it was the only way I was able to stay there and not flee for my freaking life. In this picture, Tyrion charges to the handgunners, and both he and his horse kill 6 of my handgunners.
Retreat! Retreat! Get the hell out of here!
Of course, the handgunners flee, and Tyrion gives chase, but luckily, they survive. And in this picture, the Tyrannoc chariot charges, and with the combined attacks from the crew members, the horses, and the impact hits, the handgunner unit fails its brake test and flees, but the chariot catches up to them, cutting them down in the entire process. So I lose an entire unit of handgunners just like that. And in this picture, the Reaver Knights completely destroyed the cannon, and now my right flank has completely collapsed, in my opinion. Which brings us to the top of Empire Turn 2. In this picture, you can see the picture of the right flank is now completely destroyed. Only Pistoliers and Archers can hold it down and secure that flank. The left flank is completely gone, and there's nothing to stop the Isles from coming. And in this picture, the Halberdiers are still fighting the freaking ethereal Swordmasters. And Prince Belair's bolt Thors are sitting back, safe and sound, not even worrying about life.
Get the hell out of here!
So this brings me to the top of my turn with my Empire moving phase. And in this picture, my Pistoliers and my Archers move into blocking positions to kind of try to slow down the advance of the Chariots, as well as Reaver Knights, and maybe try to engage Tyrion if I'm really lucky. And my other handgunner unit flees off the table and it is destroyed. So now both my handgunner units on the right-hand side are completely gone. In this picture, the Pistoliers in the center rally and turn to face the Archers again because, you know, I just can't get enough punishment. Magic phase is not really relevant for me because I don't have any magic this phase, which brings us to the Empire shooting phase. And in this picture, finally, the motor finally pops off something and it gets a shot and it gets a direct hit. It hits right smack dab in the middle of the Phoenix Guards and the White Lions. So with that large template and with the High Elves' low toughness, this should be a lot of easy kills. Sadly, I only get one kill. Between the White Lion cloaks and the Phoenix Guards' armor save and the 3-up ward save, I pretty much do nothing at all. And in this picture, the Archers finish off the Tyrannoc chariot, so luckily for me I did that. But sadly, all the High Elf units pass their panic tests, so I just get the chariot. And you know, at this point, considering how my men are doing, I'll take it.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
And that brings us to the Empire combat phase for this turn. And once again, those cursed ethereal Swordmasters kill another 16 Halberdiers. And so they just wipe out another chunk of my soldiers right off the bat. Luckily for me, I still have Steadfast because I still have those ranks. I still have my BSB and I still have Hold the Line, so my men barely hang on after this entirely bad slaughter. So here are the pictures for the top of High Elf turn number 3. In this picture, you can see Archers and Pistoliers are the only ones that can tie up Tyrion, those Reaver Knights, as well as that Lion Chariot on my right flank. And in this picture, I still have the High Elf main block infantry and bolt Thors to worry about, so that's just fantastic. Which brings us to High Elf move phase. So in this picture, Tyrion charges into the flank of my Pistoliers, so that's going to cause all kinds of problems because that guy's a beast in hand-to-hand combat. Reavers and Chariots charge the Archers, but they fail because the Archers choose to flee instead as a charge reaction, and they make that flee reaction. You know, because they're skirmishers and that's what they do best. And in this picture, the Archers charge the remaining Pistoliers. High Elf Archers, White Lions, and Phoenix Guard on the left-hand flank begin to march forward again. And that brings us to the top of the High Elf magic phase. And in this picture, we see Teclis casting a boosted Soul Quelch and kills about another 16 Halberdiers. And that is bad news for my men because I no longer have Steadfast, and that means my unit can now break if it gets even worse than what it is right now.
Klaatu, Marata,
Usually that track is reserved for miscasts, but the reason why I'm playing it for this one is because I stop a spell for once against the mighty Teclis, which is kind of nice. First, Prince Belair decides to take a gamble and decides to cast a boosted version of Walk Between Worlds onto his Phoenix Guards. I'm thinking that he wants to get that Phoenix Guard to move forward and hit me on the flank there on those Halberdier units, so he takes his dice and he rolls it and gets a 20, which is enough to cast it. But I take all my Dispel dice because I really want to save that Halberdier unit from destruction, and I throw everything I got on it, and I roll double 6s on this one. So I Dispel it at Irresistible Force, and so I stop that spell dead in its track. And all I gotta say is finally I get to stop Teclis' horrible magic phase. High elf shooting phase is not existent because pretty much everything is tied up in hand-to-hand combat, so brings us to...
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
We get to strike back this time. The Swordmasters killed 13 of my halberdiers, but I get to kill 8 of theirs this time, which is kind of nice because Ethereal is no longer associated with those Swordmaster units. So I lose combat by 4, but luckily for me, I pass my break test in this picture. And on this picture, the archers slaughter my last remaining 2 Pistoliers before they even get a chance to strike back. In this picture, Tyrion kills 5 Pistoliers and get his bonus for the flank charge. I roll to break, and I fail.
Retreat! Retreat! Let's get the hell out of here!
Pistoliers flee, but Tyrion cuts them down as they do, and he utterly destroys that entire unit. So, here's the top of Empire turn number 3. As you can see in this picture, this is pretty much the end for my army. There is no way I can do anything to stop what's coming. And here's another picture of the other side, and you can just tell I can't win at all. There's just no way I can pull a victory out of this bad boy. So now it's all about body count and trying to kill as many opponents as I possibly can. In my movement phase, the only move I can make, basically my archer just charges into the fray and decides we're going to not put up with this anymore. This is a Tercio build, so there is no magic phase. And that brings us to our shooting phase, which is kind of nice in this one because my mortar makes another direct hit against the archer unit in the center, and I kill 4 of those pointy-eared jerks and decide to celebrate that little part. Unfortunately, though, that unit passes its panic check, so that's all it really gets to go on that one. Here is the Empire combat phase. In this picture, the Reavers kill 3 of my archers, and my archer kills 1 Reaver, so that's kind of nice. My men passed the panic check on that one finally, so they don't need to worry about fleeing on that one.
Let's get the hell out of here!
But as for the Swordmaster Halberdier fight, I can't say exactly the same thing. The Swordmasters get another 12 kills, and this time my Halberdiers do break. So they flee for the hills, trying to run for their lives. The Swordmasters pursue and destroy what remains of my Halberdier unit, and they overrun into my mortar team. And just for the sake of giggles, because, I mean, do we really need to go another round? The motor team is destroyed. We just decided to have that motor team be taken out. And that brings us to the end of the game.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable. You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And that brings us to the end of the game. So as you can see in this picture, only 2 archers remain, and my entire army to completely tell the tale of the misery and road that took place during this battle on my right-hand flank. And as you can see in this picture, the high elf infantry is largely untouched, so, you know, there's that. And in this picture, the bolt throwers are laughing all the way back to Ulthuan because they realize that nothing happened to them. And that brings us to the end of this game, so this battle is now over.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.
I thought about staying. They offered me the chance to lead them, to teach them, to be king.
Uh-huh.
But my place is here, so I swallowed the juice, said the words, and here I am.
Did you say the words right this time?
Well, maybe I didn't say every single tiny little syllable, no, but basically I said them, yeah. Basically.
And now this is the after action report. This is the part of the battle report where we talk about what happened during the battle and what I need to do to improve and what we need to learn for the next time we fight another battle with this movement. So once again, this is the very first battle that I've used the Tercio formation, using Tercio tactics with this army. The idea of this build, there's no magic items, there's no wizards whatsoever, there's no special characters, no magic items. It's just firepower, soldiers, and just brute force and effort is what I want in this build. So this is the first time I'm using it, so I actually learned quite a bit about this battle. The first thing I need to worry about is leadership. My army was way spread out way too far, and there was not enough to support or muscle do pretty much anything. I mean, all I had was missile troops and some archers and some chaff units. That was about it. And because my army was so spread out, they couldn't benefit from the leadership bubble that my battle standard bearer or my general could have provided. So I need to do something about the leadership aspect of my army. I also need to short my flanks in some way. I mean, my enemy decided to do a denied center tactic, so Fresh Prince Bel-Air attacked my flanks because that's where I was weakest, and so because of that, I need to find some way to secure those flanks and figure out how to do something about that. The archers that I had in my army were pretty much useless. They didn't really do anything. I mean, most of them fled most of the time, and their arrows didn't do much penetrating, so maybe I might want to replace my archer detachments with something else if I decide to rebuild this list. The Pistoliers, on the other hand, weren't so bad. I mean, I hear a lot of people talk smack about these guys, but they're not bad at all. I mean, you figure they have, what, 20 shots between them with strength 4 at ballistic skill 3. If they open up with their pistols on opponents, which quick to fire, and then combine with their flee and march reactions, I'm thinking those pistols are probably going to be a lot better. In the traditional Tercio formation, you have a lot of cavalry helping out the Tercio formation, so maybe I just might, get rid of the archers and use those points instead to buy more Pistoliers from this unit. The only thing is I need to keep those guys away from hand-to-hand combat. I mean, if a unit of archers can just totally destroy a unit of Pistoliers, then that just tells me I need to keep them away from hand-to-hand combat. Magic, on the other hand, was a major pain. I mean, there's just no way of getting about it. There's nothing I really can do about that because this build has no magic or magical items within it or wizards. So that's just something I just have to deal with. I just realized that with the magic phases, I'm going to be totally dominated, and there's nothing I can really do about that. So I need to find some way to mitigate those. Maybe I need to get some Hawkland long rifles instead and start sniping at some wizards. That'd be the best way of doing it. And finally, I need to find a way to redirect my opponents away from my handgunners, as well as try to preserve my main block of pikemen or halberdiers as best as I can. So I need to find some way to do that. So yeah, this is the end of Battle Report number 3, the Tercio campaign for my experimental Empire army. That's it for now. Tune in next time when we talk about more about blood, bullets, and blood, I guess. Alright, this is Commander CheapSkate signing off. You stay classy, world.